G'day guys, Aaron here from MMT. Welcome to another episode of Fix It Yourself. Today we're talking about the quads, the quadzillas on the front of the leg here. Okay, so very commonly overactive muscle group. Okay, so a lot of people can pay attention to things like the hamstrings and the glutes, but the quads can often be the over-dominant muscle group that's causing all the havoc. Okay, so the reason why this happens, why a lot of people are quad dominant, is just the nature of how, as humans, we're quite sedentary compared to what we should be doing. So an anterior pelvic tilt is something that's quite common in society these days. Okay, an anterior pelvic tilt, I'll tuck my shirt in here for you, is when both the quads, hip flexors, and the lower back work in unison and become quite short. It tilts the pelvis down like this. Okay, so when that happens, it renders the hamstrings really elongated and weak, as well as the abdominals. Okay, so if we're operating from this context, that's when a lot of soft tissue injuries can occur. That's when a lot of poor performance can occur, because all of a sudden our rib cage and our pelvis positioning has completely gone out because of some particular muscle groups being over dominant and quite short. So what we want to do is try and get into a position where our rib cage and pelvis is in a much more optimal position being there. Okay, so one of the first things that we want to do is start to release some of the tension within this quad. First, I just want to show you just some of the muscles that we're going to be targeting today. So this is the quad here on the left hand side of this muscle chart. So the muscles that we've got in particular that we're going to be targeting today, in the quad itself we have four muscles: the rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, and underneath you've got a muscle called vastus intermedius. Okay, also on top of the front of the leg here you've got the longest muscle in the body, which is the sartorius, which wraps all the way from the top of the hip down under the kneecap. And also a little bit of TFL. We've done a little bit of TFL in a few other videos, but just because of the nature of where it's located, it still is implicated in this release here, okay? The muscles that particularly pull the pelvis down into an anterior tilt generally are the rectus femoris, okay? Just because it is a hip flexor more than a knee extensor, all right? So let's start with our own hands, okay? Getting a bit of an understanding of what's happening in our quad and where our sticking points are before we start to get our massage tools out, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this stool here. Now at home, I've got our Myo wax here that I'm going to get a little bit of. At home, you can use coconut oil or just some kind of natural, moisturizer or something, just to get a little bit of oil going through the quad here so we don't have too much friction. First thing I want you to start to work on is your palms, okay? So maybe we can double palm it here. I want you to go right up to the top of the hip there, and we're just gonna use both palms. I'm gonna hook into our tissue, and we're just gonna slowly glide down, okay? So we're only moving at the rate that the tissue allows us to glide through, okay? We're not gonna force things. We're not gonna glide over the top of the skin, because we want to be working to a fairly deep layer of the tissue. Okay, so we can take it down there. We can go to one hand more so right there. I feel like that's hooking right onto that rec fem. Now I'm not going to glide straight over like this. I'm going to hook and I'm going to slowly move through that tissue. Don't want to be flicking over anything here. I just want to be pinning and moving. So straight away, this area I can feel referring somewhat up into my back a little bit, which is a really good sign. Okay, we can maybe land here, halfway down the quad and go down. But for most people, their stuff is going to be pretty high up, or maybe a bit further to the outside. Okay, so I haven't really got too much through there. Got a little bit more towards the knee here, but generally, for me, a lot of my stuff is higher up. And that will be consistent with a lot of you out there too. So given the nature of the way humans sit a lot, sitting isn't a bad thing, it's a very natural thing, but if you sit too much and you don't move like a human should move, walking and running and moving multidimensionally, this area up here can become quite short. And when things get short and compressed and tight, it's going to pull down on the joint that it's attached to, being the top of the hip here. On this spine, the quad's attached to here, and then a bit further down onto the femur itself here. So when things get tight that attach here, in coordination with the lower back getting tight that attach there and pull up, you get this happening, which is the anterior tilt, okay? So all of a sudden you can see you get extra compression in the lower back, and all of a sudden these hamstring attachment points are going from a point where they should be here all the way up to there, okay? So your hamstrings always feel tight because they're actually long and weak, all right? So that's just an example of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to elongate the tissue here, change the state of the tissue here so we can actually correct our biomechanics and eliminate our pain. So a really good technique that you can start to use to get better into these tissues here is use your own elbow. Imagine you come in to see us, okay? So you can go to the outside of that flicky tendon. You're going to notice a flicky tendon there, or you can go to the inside of it. I'm going to start kind of to the inside, just on top of it. So I'm slowly sinking in my pressure straight down, and I can reinforce my pressure with my other hand like this, kind of like a corkscrew going straight in, okay? So right there, I've pinned a really good trigger point, right on that tendon where it attaches up to that bony prominent hip bone called the ASIS. All right, so I'm pinning that. I can feel some kind of referral going down my quad, and I'm just gonna slowly scoop that out. Okay, you can see me leaning back there, slowly scoop that out. I'll start again. I'm gonna pin in. You can see my pressure going back in towards the hip, and let me lean back, and I'll slowly scoop that out, like so. I felt a little bit more, up a little bit higher, so let's show you there, Ninja, just slowly as I come down here. Pin into that spot there. Change my angle till I find the hardest bit, which is right there. Pin, stretch, and change the state of that tissue there. All right, so you can play around with this, even with thumbs maybe. That's a good example of how you can get in there. Look at that. So pin, hold, and move out. You can go further around into maybe the TFL region. Pin, yeah, that's a good one there. Pull back, hold, and scoop out. Okay? So that's just an example of what you can be doing to your quad, especially that region that's going to be the most implicated in these dysfunctions. What I'm going to do next is get my old trusty basketball out. I guess another thing that I've missed is the testing. I just stood up then and realised how good my hip felt, so it's something we could have done at the start. You could be working into these lunge positions, you can stretch out your quad, you can maybe do a quick walk or a bit of a run on the spot and try and feel where on your quad are the biggest sticking points, okay? But let's work through the whole quad itself and figure out more in depth where our points are. So, with the basketball, let's tuck my shirt in there. Let's start to get an understanding of where we need to go. So, let's start up high where we were working before. How's that angle then, is that all right?
Good.
Good.
Looking good, brother.
Looking good. All right, so we're starting right up near that bone. And remember, we're not going to go fast, we want to go slow. So I'll let my whole body weight come down onto that basketball. All of it come down, and then I'm slowly gonna roll down there. Taking it super slow. Once I find a real sticking point, I'll hold that, okay? There will be little channels you can get into here too. It might feel like you're about to flick over something, and I'll implore you to find the channel where you feel like you're at the deepest level close to the femur, okay? So we see if I can find one there. Yeah, that's good. So I'm allowing that ball to hit right up top to the femur there, and then just slowly working through it. Oh, it's coming up something good there. Oh, there we go. That just flicked onto a channel there. Oh, that's really brutal. So all of a sudden I've got some referral wrapping around to the side of my leg. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, wow. So I can feel that's right down to the bone. So I've got to push through it. I've got to go through it. I can't back away. I know it's productive. Oh, so I'm just slowly still making my way down because I know that I'm in that channel, so it's the whole thing. The whole thing is going to be down to the bone. Oh. That's really, really, really good. Really relieving. Just working my way down the whole line there. Oh, it's starting to ease off a little bit as I get closer to the knee. I might do one more, going out to the side a little bit more. So probably hitting more into TFL. Still into quad though. Okay, so we'll start there and see if we can get, yeah, that's good. Generally, the further outwards you go towards the ITB, the more compacted, the more dense, maybe dehydrated the tissues are going to be too. So they're going to be more painful to stick onto. All right, but yeah, still really beneficial. Oh, that's pretty nasty. Oh. Some of you are barely going to be able to do the basketball, so we would tell you to stay on this for a couple of weeks, you know, before you start getting some sharper tools in there. Maybe just stay on this until you're ready to progress. Oh, that's a good one there. So I'm in a different channel. Got some shakes happening. Oh, it's really good. Just pick up the pace a little bit there too. Oh, yeah, that's a cracker. So the further outside I'm going, the better that is for me. Oh, this is going to be good. Might be faster than you now, Ninja. It's the whole reason I'm doing this program, I reckon, mate. Oh,
good, man.
So yeah, you could do half an hour just working through channels with the basketball, but I want to show you some other techniques today. So, getting pretty full on now. This is R-rated, the cement plug. All right, let's see what we can do to myself. So similar thing though, just a lot harder. Let's start at the top. Make sure all that tissue that gets bound up near that hip bone is elongated and flat. And let's work my way down my quad there. It's not too bad so far, but I can just tell that something's going to be pretty gnarly. Oh, yeah, little change of angle. Oh, this is going to be nuts. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yep. Oh. Something's shaking. I can't tell where it is, but something's shaking. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah. That's it. That's it. Whatever that is. It's just, if you're watching this and you don't know what pain you're putting yourself through, it's just like, it's bad, but there's this innate knowing that it's good. Like, you just can't describe it. It's just knowing that it's productive. So I don't want to run away from it because I know that in the long run it's going to be good for me. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh. All the way down to the bottom there. Oh, really relieving. So like I said, you could do some more lines going inside a little bit more, like through there, or you could even go a little bit more out to the ITB. Yeah, further out you go is just very, very painful. So I would recommend, like I said, just staying on this for a few weeks and making sure you're hydrating that entire quad before you're progressing on. Okay, so thanks for joining this episode, guys. Like I said, the quad can be implicated in a lot of things, and it's really important to make sure that your quads are at a right length to make sure your pelvis and rib cage positioning are optimal for good human biomechanics. So yeah, hope you go well. Comment, let me know how it goes. The old wrapping up a video, eh, Ninja?
Yeah, you love it.
My strong suit. Alright guys, some bonus footage for your quad releasing. If it's a bit too hard for you to get into these spots with your elbows, you can actually start to look at using your tools, okay? So, let's think about using our leg off a chair and think about getting into these main tendons of the quad. So I'll tuck my shirt in there and push straight down right into the tendon there, okay? So we're working on the medial side, the inside of these points, just exploring, pushing straight up there. Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. We can come down maybe to Come down a little bit further. That's another really good one there too. Maybe we can do some little scoops like that. Can we come down further? Definitely. Definitely. Straight down more into the femur as well, okay? Do some twists, little mini scoops. We can also work on the outside line too. So just change the position of the hand, more the left hand pushing in. So we're on the outside of that rec fem now and pushing straight down, just lengthening that tissue. We can do little oscillations with our femur and that's perfect. A little bit further down and bang, right onto some money. You can also maybe get a sharper tool too. If we've got a really specific hip impingement, maybe you want to get a little bit sharper, for sure. You can just go straight in there. Oh. Just be really careful as well when you're working through this area, especially with the sharp tools. There's a lot of nerves, glands, you know, you've got a lot of lymph nodes in there too. So just be sure that you're keeping in check about the principles of sinking in slow and letting the tissue melt, you know, at the rate that the tool's going in. Okay. You can also look at using something like our pestle here. Pestle?
Yep, pestle.
Bang, looking at that. Imagine you're crushing some herbs there. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, it's really good. Really, really good. And come up a little bit maybe. Up into the hip even more. Oh, bang. Can we come down? Yeah, straight on top. Right there. Oh, really, really, really good. Okay, so just some other tips of the tools that you can use for this quad. Okay, so get to work. Let me know how you go.